The game of telephone is a game where children whisper words into each other's ears, one by one, until they have a laugh at the end, realizing that what came out is a different word from the one they started with. The game of telephone happens every day, in family, in teams, and in companies. But today we'll look at one particularly egregious example of the game of telephone. The key players are Lord Raglan, chief of all British forces. Under him, Lord Lucan, leading the British cavalry. And under him, his brother-in-law and rival, Lord Cardigan, leading the light cavalry. And we also have Captain Nolan, who's going to serve a key role in this game of telephone as well. Lord Raglan's command, from the top of a hill, sees how in one part of the front, Russian forces have pushed back some of the British elements and are now taking away their guns. After some hesitation and incompetence, Lord Raglan decides to order the cavalry to chase after those Russian elements and take the guns back. To this end, Raglan asks his staff general, Richard Airy, to draft such an order.
General Airy, this is the fourth order I have dispatched to Lord Lucan. Kindly take this down in your clearest handwriting. General Airy, pray read me back the order that I've just dictated.
Lord Raglan wishes the cavalry to advance rapidly to the front, to follow the enemy, and try to prevent the enemy from carrying away the guns. The troop horse artillery may accompany. French cavalry is on your left. Immediate. Signed, R. Airy.
See that this is delivered, and executed.
Let me take it, my lord.
This is a picture of the actual order in a museum. The movie gets it completely right. The order is vague. Advance to the front. The front is huge. Follow the enemy. The enemy is everywhere. We also have to note that Raglan and his command from the top of the hill can physically see the skirmish the order is meant to be about. But from the bottom of the valley, where the cavalry is stationed, they cannot see that part of the front. So when Lucan asks,
Captain Nolan, I say if you look before you, you will see neither enemy nor guns.
That is a completely justified question. And Captain Nolan, who has all the information, could have very easily clarified all the confusion by precisely telling them what he knew. Beyond that hill, in a particular direction, there's a group of Russians who took a bunch of guns from us. Go that way, chase them, take the guns back. That's all he had to say. However, for reasons unknown, maybe he was too emotional, maybe he was too impatient, but he emphatically, vaguely, and arrogantly responds with,
There, my lord! There is your enemy! There are your guns!
At this point, Lucan and Cardigan understand that their order is to frontally attack the main Russian front. This is a suicidal and completely pointless order. It doesn't make any sense, but an order is an order, so they set on to do just that. As they start marching, Captain Nolan, who joined them, is seen riding towards Cardigan, who is leading the charge. There is speculation that finally Nolan might have understood the miscommunication that he helped create and was going to tell Cardigan that actually that's not the order. However, in a twist of fate, Captain Nolan is the first casualty of this battle, and at this point there's nothing to stop the advance. So the Light Brigade keeps on charging under fire from three directions. Amazingly, they manage to reach the Russian lines, but can't really do nothing about it and soon have to retreat. Out of the 607 men who rode in the charge, 409 died or were taken prisoners. Less than one-third returned. French Marshal Pierre Bosquet, who was there as an ally of the British, said that this is magnificent, but this is not war. This is madness. Russian General Liprandi, who witnessed the assault of the Light Brigade, was convinced that the British must all be drunk to engage in such an attack. He went and asked the prisoners they got if they were drunk. When he saw that they weren't, he offered them vodka. So what do we have here? We have a vague and confusing order which can be misinterpreted in many ways. We also have the failure to understand the rather obvious fact that what they could see from their position on top of the hill could not be seen from the position of the cavalry at the bottom of the valley, and no effort was made to compensate for this difference in perspective through more deliberate and precise communication. The carrier of the order, Captain Nolan, for reasons we will never know for sure, chose to be very emotional and vague in his communication, and instead of adding oral clarification that helped, he instead confused the order even more through the words he chose to use as he delivered it. And finally, we have Lucan and Cardigan, who take an absurd order at face value and they just go on with it. Today, in a similar situation, technology would help a lot. Instant back and forth communication, asking for clarifications, put a drone up in the air and see for yourself. But even with modern technology, these kinds of misunderstandings still can and do happen every day. There is no substitute for clarity and precision in communication. In the aftermath of the charge of the Light Brigade, their reputation skyrocketed. Not so much that of the commanders, but the soldiers themselves were sung as heroes for their bravery. Unfortunately, the wrong lessons were learned, and instead of reforming the command and communication structure of the army, they got stuck into this romantic view of chivalrous cavalry charges until finally they were swept away by the machine guns of World War I 60 years later.